This is the biggest story we have ever covered. And if these reports are even half true, the entire legacy of Roloff Farms is hanging by a thread. The word is bigamy. It is a legal nightmare that destroys reputations, voids contracts, and ends marriages before they even begin. We are looking at a scenario where the most controversial figure in Little People Big World history, Caryn Chandler, may be walking down the aisle while legally still tethered to her past. This isn't just about a wedding ceremony. This is about the legal ownership of the farm itself. We have received exclusive theories and compiled deep dive research suggesting that a clerical error from 15 years ago in an Arizona courthouse could be the weapon Amy Roloff has been waiting for. Chris Merrick has reportedly uncovered a paper trail that was never finished, a divorce that was never finalized, and a secret that changes everything. If Caryn is still married, every contract she signed with Matt is fraudulent. The wedding is on hold. The lawyers are scrambling. And Amy Roloff might just get the farm back. Welcome back to LPBW Update, where we dig deeper than the cameras ever will. Today, we are unpacking a theory so explosive it could cancel the show. We need to talk about what is happening behind the closed doors of the new build, far away from the carefully edited reality you see on TLC. While Matt and Caryn have been projecting the image of the perfect, happy couple rushing toward their nuptials, sources suggest a panic is setting in that has nothing to do with floral arrangements or guest lists. This is about a background check that went wrong, a discovery made by the most unlikely detective on the farm, and a legal loophole that could cost Matt Roloff everything he has fought for since the divorce. To understand the gravity of this situation, we have to look at the timeline. Wedding fever has officially taken over Hillsborough. We have seen the reports of Caryn eyeing a $20,000 wedding dress. We have seen her acting, as many fans point out, like the queen of the farm. She is overseeing the construction of the new house. She is involved in the daily operations, and she is positioning herself as the matriarch of the Roloff legacy. For months, the narrative has been clear. Matt and Caryn are the future, and Amy is the past. But arrogance often leads to oversight. While Matt has been busy drawing up blueprints and arguing with county inspectors about square footage, he arguably neglected the most important inspection of all, the legal standing of his future bride. This is where the theory takes a dark and fascinating turn. Enter Chris Merrick. We often view Chris as the easygoing, laid-back guy who just wants to be friends with everyone. But do not forget his background. Chris is a real estate professional. He deals in deeds, titles, insurance liabilities, and background checks for a living. He knows that you do not sign a contract until you have verified every single signature on the dotted line. According to our exclusive theoretical analysis, as the farm's insurance policies came up for renewal in anticipation of the massive liability of hosting a high-profile wedding, Chris began doing his standard due diligence. It wasn't out of malice, it was just business. He needed to verify the legal entities involved in the farm's liability coverage, which now includes Caryn as a primary partner. What Chris reportedly found, or failed to find, is the bombshell. In the world of high-stakes real estate and marriage assets, names matter. When checking cross-state records, specifically looking into Caryn's history in Arizona regarding previous assets, a discrepancy popped up. Usually, when a divorce is finalized, a decree of dissolution is filed, and the records are sealed with a specific judgment code. But in this deep dive theory, the record for Caryn's previous marriage didn't have a finalized stamp. It had a status that keeps lawyers up at night, dismissed without prejudice due to a lack of activity. Let's break down what that means because it is crucial to this scandal. When a divorce petition is filed, if the paperwork isn't completed or if a specific administrative step is missed within a certain time frame, the court can toss the case out. It is as if the divorce filing never happened. If the couple assumes it was done, walks away, and lives separate lives for 15 years, they are technically, legally, still married. Our theory posits that Caryn, believing her lawyers handled everything over a decade ago, has been operating under the false assumption that she is a single woman. But if that Arizona court never stamped the final decree because of a filing error or a missed signature, she is currently a bigamist in the eyes of the law if she tries to marry Matt. Imagine the scene. Chris Merrick, sitting at his computer, perhaps trying to help Amy organize her own records, stumbles upon this open file. He sees the date. He sees the lack of a closure stamp. He realizes the implication immediately. He isn't just looking at a clerical error. He is looking at a voided contract. If Caryn is legally married to another man, she cannot legally enter into a binding prenuptial agreement with Matt Roloff. She cannot legally be listed as a spouse on insurance documents. And most dangerously for Matt, any business contract she signed as a single entity regarding the farm's purchase or management could be challenged in court as fraud or misrepresentation. This brings us to the red flag phase of our investigation. Why wasn't this caught earlier? Matt Roloff prides himself on being a businessman. He micromanages everything. How could he miss a detail this massive? The theory circulating among insiders is that Matt trusted Caryn's word implicitly. He was so focused on beating Amy, on proving that his new relationship was superior and professional, that he skipped the vetting process. He didn't want to look into her past because he wanted to believe in their future. But Chris Merrick has no such emotional blinders. Chris looks at facts, and the fact is, the paperwork allegedly doesn't add up. We have to ask ourselves, was this an honest mistake, or is there something more calculated at play? Some viewers have speculated for years that Caryn is a master strategist. Is it possible she knew the divorce wasn't watertight? That is unlikely, as it puts her at massive risk. It is far more likely that this is a ghost from the past returning to haunt her at the worst possible moment. But the optics are terrible. Just as she is picking out expensive linens and planning a reception that rivals a royal wedding, the validity of her freedom is being questioned. This report suggests that Chris Merrick didn't run to Amy immediately with gossip. He ran to the records. He dug deeper. He requested transcripts from the county clerk in the state where Caryn's divorce was supposed to happen. He wanted to be 100% sure before he dropped a nuclear bomb on the family dynamic. The delay in the wedding planning that we have sensed recently, the vague excuses about construction delays and health issues, we believe those are cover stories. The real reason the wedding date keeps shifting is that there is a frantic, secret legal battle happening behind the scenes to rectify a 15-year-old error before it becomes public record. But in the digital age, nothing stays secret forever. If Chris found it, others can find it. And if Amy finds out, or if Chris, bound by his loyalty to his wife, hands her this information, the power dynamic shifts instantly. This is the bombshell moment. Think about the negotiations Matt forced Amy through. He made her sell. He squeezed her out. He made her feel like an outsider on her own land. He did all of this with Caryn by his side, treating Caryn as his legal partner. If Caryn was never his legal partner, if she was legally compromised the entire time, Amy has grounds to challenge the validity of the sale. This is where the theory becomes truly cinematic. We are talking about the potential for the bigamy scandal to void the farm deal. If Caryn's name is on the deed or the LLC as a partner, and she misrepresented her legal status, a judge could freeze the assets. Amy, as the original owner and a creditor who is still owed money on the buyout, could petition the court for a stay of execution on all business moves. She could argue that Matt acted negligently by bringing a legally compromised partner into the business, putting the asset she helped build, at risk. The tension is palpable. We are hearing whispers that Matt is furious, not at Caryn, but at the situation. He is reportedly spending thousands on expedited legal counsel to see if they can retroactively fix the clerical error. They are trying to get a judge to sign the papers effective from 15 years ago. But the courts are slow, and the wedding is coming up fast. If they marry before this is fixed, the marriage is void. And if they wait, they have to explain to the world why the perfect couple suddenly got cold feet. And let's look at Caryn's reaction. Sources indicate she is terrified. Her reputation has always been her shield. She paints herself as the organized, sensible one who manages Matt's chaos. For her to be the cause of this chaos, for her to be the one who didn't cross her T's and dot her I's, it destroys her narrative. It makes her look sloppy, or worse, deceptive. If this news breaks mainstream, she isn't the queen of the farm anymore. She is the woman with the secret husband. It is a humiliation that someone as proud as Caryn cannot stomach. As we move deeper into this exclusive theory, consider the irony. Matt Roloff destroyed his marriage to Amy for Caryn. He blew up his family dynamic for Caryn. And now, the very institution of marriage might be the thing that undoes him. The hidden marriage theory isn't just a rumor. It is a structural flaw in the foundation of the new Roloff empire. Chris Merrick, the man Matt often dismisses as just Amy's husband, holds the key. He has the file. He knows the truth. The question is, when will he play the card? We are watching a high-stakes poker game. Matt is bluffing, pretending everything is fine. Caryn is hiding, hoping the lawyers can work a miracle. And Chris and Amy are sitting on a royal flush. This isn't just about a wedding dress or a party. This is about who actually holds the title to the land. If the contracts fall apart, we could be looking at a season 26 where Amy Roloff walks back onto the big property not as a guest, but as the court-appointed trustee of a business in crisis. The red flag has been raised. The bombshell has been discovered. The only thing left is for the explosion to happen. We are going to explore exactly how Amy is planning to use this information and the secret legal maneuver that could stop the wedding permanently. The power dynamic on Roloff Farms has shifted overnight, and for the first time in years, the ball is firmly in Amy Roloff's court. We have established the premise: a background check gone wrong, a divorce filing in Arizona that was allegedly never finalized, and a potential bigamy scandal that threatens to implode the wedding of the century. But now, we move into the most critical phase of this exclusive investigation, the power shift. How does Amy Roloff, a woman who has been marginalized, pushed out, and silenced on her own property, use this nuclear information? According to our theoretical timeline and insider speculation, the moment Chris Merrick placed that folder on the kitchen table, the entire trajectory of the show and the family business changed. Amy's reaction, according to sources close to the situation, wasn't one of vindictive joy. It was one of my protective instincts. You have to remember, Amy still owns a massive financial stake in the legacy of the family through the debt Matt owes her and the future inheritance of her children. If Matt marries a woman who is legally married to someone else, the estate becomes a legal war zone. This is where the theory gets technical and terrifying for Matt. In many states, if you marry someone who is already married, the new marriage is void ab initio, meaning it never legally existed. However, the financial damage is real. If Caryn were to be added to titles or bank accounts while legally bigamous, her legal husband, the man she thought she divorced 15 years ago, could theoretically lay claim to assets she acquires. Matt Roloff's farm could essentially be exposed to a complete stranger, Caryn's ex-husband, through a legal backdoor that nobody saw coming. This is the lever Amy is pulling. We believe that legal letters have already been drafted. The silence coming from the farm is deafening, and usually when the Roloffs go quiet, it means the lawyers are talking. The theory is that Amy's legal team has issued a formal request for clarification regarding the liability insurance and ownership structure of the farm. It is a polite way of saying, we know the truth, and we are freezing everything. This maneuver stops the wedding preparations dead in their tracks. You cannot plan a wedding when the bride's legal status is in limbo. You cannot book a venue or sign a marriage license application when you know that doing so constitutes perjury. This explains the sudden halt in the new build updates. Have you noticed? Matt was posting daily about the construction, about Caryn moving in, about their life together. Then suddenly the content shifted to generic farm shots and flashbacks. Why? Because if the marriage is fraudulent, then Caryn's residence in the new house, which is ostensibly a marital asset in the making, becomes complicated. If she is not his legal wife, she is just a tenant. and tenants do not get to design million-dollar dream homes on family land without strict contracts. Contracts that are now potentially void because she signed them as a single woman. Matt Roloff is reportedly in a state of absolute panic. He is a man who prides himself on control. He controls the narrative, he controls the edit, and he controls the land. But he cannot control the Arizona court system, and he certainly cannot control the past. Our investigation suggests that Matt is currently burning through cash to expedite a legal fix. He is likely trying to get a nunc pro tunc order, a fancy legal term for asking a judge to correct a record retroactively, effectively saying the divorce should have been final 15 years ago, so please treat it as such. But judges are not rubber stamps. They need hearings, they need evidence, and most importantly, they need time. Time is the one thing Matt and Caryn do not have. The humiliation factor cannot be overstated here. Caryn has positioned herself as the upgrade. She was the one who understood business, the one who was low drama, the one who supported Matt. For her to be the source of the biggest legal screw-up in the family's history is a narrative collapse. We are hearing reports that the tension between Matt and Caryn is at an all-time high. Matt, who is famously impatient, is reportedly blaming Caryn for not handling her business decades ago. He feels blindsided. He brought her into his empire, exposed his financials to her, and trusted her legal standing. Now he looks like a fool. He looks like a businessman who didn't read the fine print. And for Matt, looking incompetent is a fate worse than death. Meanwhile, Amy is playing the long game. She hasn't leaked this to the tabloids. She hasn't gone on Instagram Live to bash them. She is doing something far more effective. She is waiting. By holding this information over their heads, she ensures that no changes can be made to the farm's operation without her approval. If they try to push her out or minimize her role, she simply has to point to the bigamy file. It is the ultimate checkmate. The theory posits that Amy has effectively paused the wedding indefinitely without ever saying the words, "I object." Let's look at the behavior of the surrounding players. Zach and Tori have been distant from the farm for a long time, but sources suggest they have been briefed on the situation. Their continued estrangement makes even more sense in this light. If Zach knew that his father's new relationship was built on a shaky legal foundation, his refusal to engage with Caryn's stepmom role is validated. He isn't just being stubborn, he is refusing to respect a union that isn't even legal. This scandal vindicates every doubt the children have had. It proves that the rush to replace Amy was reckless. The most fascinating aspect of this power shift is how it affects the farm deal. Remember the controversial negotiations where Matt refused to sell to the kids? He claimed it was too complex, that he needed to secure his retirement. Well, if his retirement partner is legally compromised, his entire retirement plan is a house of cards. Amy could argue that Matt's judgment is impaired. She could argue that his business decisions since meeting Caryn have been influenced by a fraudulent partnership. This opens the door for a legal revisit of the original divorce settlement. If assets were undervalued, or if Matt hid the nature of his partnership with Caryn during the divorce proceedings, and now it comes out that Caryn wasn't even legally single, the courts could reopen the Roloff divorce case. Imagine the sheer scale of that. A divorce case closed years ago, reopened because of a clerical error in another state. It is a legal theory, yes, but it is one that has terrified the inner circle of the farm. We are looking at a potential freeze on all farm assets. That means no wedding, no new house completion, and potentially no show. TLC cannot film a wedding that is illegal. They cannot promote a storyline that involves a crime. And yes, bigamy is a crime. The producers are likely scrambling, trying to figure out how to edit around a wedding that might never happen. The narrative of Caryn the Savior is being rewritten to Caryn the Liability. Deep dive research into the Arizona court records shows that dismissals for lack of activity are common, but they are also easily fixable if you catch them early. To miss it for 15 years implies a level of negligence that is staggering. It implies that Caryn simply stopped caring about the legalities once she got what she wanted. separation. It reflects a personality type that ignores details until they become problems. Matt is the opposite. He obsesses over details. This clash of styles is causing friction that the cameras are undoubtedly capturing, even if they are afraid to air it. As we approach the climax of this situation, we have to consider the financial cost. Fixing a mess like this requires high-end family law attorneys in 2 different states, Arizona lawyers to reopen the old case, and Oregon lawyers to manage the fallout with the farm contracts. We are talking about tens of thousands of dollars bleeding out of the farm's accounts, money that was supposed to go toward the wedding reception. The budget is being drained to pay for Caryn's past mistakes. Every dollar spent on a lawyer is a dollar not spent on the dream wedding. This financial strain adds to the emotional pressure. Amy's victory here is silent but total. She doesn't have to stop the wedding. The law is stopping the wedding. She doesn't have to prove she is the better woman. The paperwork proves she is the only legal wife Matt has ever had. In the eyes of the church and the state, until that Arizona judge signs off, Caryn is just a girlfriend with an unfinished history. Amy is the matriarch. This restores her status. It validates her legacy. And it leaves Matt and Caryn in a purgatory of their own making. But the story doesn't end with a paused wedding. The fallout is about to get much worse. We have uncovered theories that suggest Amy is preparing to make a move that will secure the farm for her children once and for all, using this scandal as the catalyst. She isn't just blocking Caryn, she is preparing to take back control. The hidden marriage isn't just a scandal, it is the key to the kingdom. We will reveal the victory phase, how the wedding is officially canceled, the public cover-up they will try to sell you, and the shocking final twist that puts the farm back in the hands of the original family. You think you know the drama? You haven't seen anything yet. Matt Roloff is about to face the music, and the tune is being conducted by the Arizona Superior Court. Do not go anywhere. This brings us to the inevitable, shattering conclusion of what we are calling the bigamy scandal, the victory. And make no mistake, this is a victory, but not for the couple on the magazine covers. The wedding is effectively dead in the water. We are now seeing reports and subtle social media cues indicating that the highly anticipated nuptials have been put on an indefinite hold. The official narrative coming from the farm will likely blame the construction of the new house. They will tell you that the patio isn't finished, or that the supply chain delayed the lumber, or that Matt's health requires a slower pace. Do not believe it. Our investigation indicates that the construction delay is a convenient smokescreen for a legal disaster that has no quick fix. You cannot build a marriage on a foundation that doesn't legally exist, just like you cannot build a house without a permit. The reality of the situation is a humiliating trek back to the past for Caryn Chandler. To rectify a dismissed without prejudice case from 15 years ago, she cannot simply mail a form. She reportedly has to physically return to the jurisdiction in Arizona. She has to petition the court to reopen a cold case. And here's the kicker that insiders are whispering about. She might have to serve her ex-husband with new papers. Imagine the awkwardness. Imagine the leverage that gives her ex-spouse. If he decides to contest the date of separation or demand a piece of the assets she has acquired since then, including her potential earnings from the show, he could drag this out for months, if not years. Matt Roloff, a man who wants everything done yesterday, is now at the mercy of a court calendar in a state he doesn't live in, involving a man he barely knows. This is where the perfect Caryn mask falls off completely. For years, the narrative has been that Amy was chaotic and emotional, while Caryn was the steady hand who kept the books and managed the farm's chaos. But this scandal flips the script entirely. It turns out the manager couldn't manage her own divorce. The organized partner left the most important loose end of her life dangling for a decade and a half. This damages her credibility in a way that no argument with Amy ever could. It proves that her crisp, professional exterior hides a messy reality. And for Matt, who treats the farm like a corporation, realized liability is the ultimate sin. He is now looking at his fiancée not as an asset, but as a legal risk. Amy Roloff's victory in this scenario is absolute because she didn't have to fire a single shot. She simply had to exist as the only woman who ever successfully and legally married and divorced Matt Roloff. She respected the law. She finalized her paperwork. She protected her assets. By doing nothing, she highlights Caryn's negligence. The power shift we discussed earlier has solidified into a permanent blockade. As long as this legal cloud hangs over Caryn, Amy remains the undisputed matriarch of the Roloff legacy. If Matt were to pass away tomorrow without a valid marriage license to Caryn, Caryn gets nothing. No spousal support, no automatic inheritance, no claim to the farm. It all reverts to the legal heirs, the children, and, by extension of the debt owed, Amy. This theory suggests that the victory is actually a reset button on the entire series. The wedding storyline was supposed to be the season finale. It was supposed to be the moment Matt finally won the breakup. Instead, the season is shaping up to be a documentation of a bureaucratic nightmare. The producers are likely furious. They cannot film a wedding that is legally a sham. They cannot air a ceremony that invites a bigamy charge. So what we are going to see is a pivot. Watch for the sudden change in tone. Watch for Matt suddenly claiming they don't need a piece of paper to prove their love. That will be the tell. That will be the confirmation that the lawyers couldn't fix it in time. They will try to spin it as a modern, progressive choice to stay unmarried partners. But we know the truth. They are staying unmarried because the state of Arizona says they have no choice. The financial fallout is the final nail in the coffin of the dream wedding. Sources speculate that the legal fees to untangle this 15-year-old knot are astronomical. We are talking about forensic accountants to prove assets were kept separate, filing fees, expedited court costs, and retainer fees for top-tier family law specialists. That $20,000 dress? It's sitting in a closet, a symbol of money spent on a fantasy that crashed into reality. The lavish reception? Canceled or scaled back to a commitment ceremony to save face. Matt hates wasting money more than anything, and right now, Caryn's past is costing him a fortune. This breeds resentment. It creates cracks in the relationship that the cameras will struggle to hide. The ultimate twist in this saga is that Amy Roloff might actually end up saving the farm from Matt's bad judgment. By forcing this issue into the light, whether directly or through the pressure of the background check, she has prevented a catastrophic legal merger. If Matt had married Caryn while she was still married, the title to the farm could have been clouded for decades. Any future sale, any inheritance for Zach, Jeremy, Molly, or Jacob would have been held hostage by a bigamy lawsuit. Amy's presence, often resented by Matt, has ironically acted as the fail-safe mechanism that protected the family asset from total ruin. She is the guardian of the gate, and the gate is now closed to Caryn until she cleans up her mess. So, where does this leave us? It leaves us with a farm divided, a wedding canceled, and a reputation in tatters. Caryn Chandler is no longer the invincible new wife. She is the woman with the secret husband. Matt Roloff is no longer the master planner. He is the man who didn't do his homework. And Amy Roloff? She is sitting in her own home, legally secure, financially independent, and watching the chaos unfold from a safe distance. The victory isn't about getting Matt back. It's about proving that you cannot erase the past, and you certainly cannot outrun the law. The ink on the divorce papers might be invisible, but the consequences are as real as it gets. This brings us to the most important question of all, and I need you to weigh in on this. A secret marriage? A dismissed divorce from 15 years ago? You literally cannot make this stuff up. But here's the theory I want you to consider. Do you think Caryn did this on purpose? Is it possible she kept that legal tie as a safety net, a way to avoid fully committing her assets to Matt until she was sure she had the ring? Or was this genuinely a sloppy, negligent mistake that has now cost her everything? And what about Matt? Do you think he will stick by her through this humiliation? Or is this the excuse he needs to back out of the wedding and keep the farm all to himself? There is so much more to this story that is going to come out in the next few weeks as the court records become public. We are monitoring the Arizona docket daily. We are watching the farm's LLC filings for any name changes. If you want to be the first to know when the dismissed status changes or if the wedding is officially called off, you need to be subscribed. Hit that like button if you think Amy deserves a round of applause for dodging this bullet, and let me know in the comments. If you were Matt, would you still marry her after finding out she's legally tied to her ex? I'll be reading every single response. This is LPBW Update, and we will see you in the next investigation.